Hi everyone, my name is Matias and today I'm going to make my first video review of the short story, which is Eveline. I really hope you like it. Eveline is a short story which was written by the writer James Joyce. James Joyce was a modernist writer who was born on February 2nd, 1882 in Dublin, Ireland, and he died at the age of 59 on January 1941 in Zurich. The exploration of new language and new literary forms show not only his genius as a writer, but also his love of the stream of consciousness technique. Stream of consciousness technique consists in reproducing the free flow of thoughts, feelings, and sensations of the characters without comments by the author. Well, let's go back to talk about the story and remember, spoiler alert! Eveline is a short story which was published in James Joyce's collection of short stories, Dubliners, in 1914. Dubliners is a collection of 15 short stories. They form a naturalistic depiction of Irish middle-class life in and around Dublin in the early years of the 20th century. About the plot, well, Eveline is a story of character with a plot of revelation because at the end she realized that she cannot leave her house and her life. Plot is loosely plotted because we are all the time exploring her feelings and thoughts, but also if you pay attention you will realize that we don't have events in the story because Eveline never does anything. It's torn between staying or leaving, but for the majority of the story she is still sitting by the window contemplating her decision. Eveline sees the hope in moving away with Frank to start a new life in Buenos Aires, but she thinks of the promise to her mother on her deathbed when she said that she would keep the home together as long as she could. So finally, Eveline decides not to go away with Frank, and the author doesn't tell us why she makes that decision, but from the way that she behaves, we can say that she is having a panic attack. Catholicism plays a very important role in Eveline's decision and Eveline's life, because generally speaking, Catholicism was the dominant religion in the 20th century. Well, so Eveline's Catholic values play a very important role in her inability to live, and she ends up sacrificing herself for these values, which were emphasized by her Catholic background and religious teaching involving guilt, sacrifice, and promises. Eveline is written in the third-person narrator. James Joyce employs a technique known as free indirect discourse. It allows the narrator to exhibit the thoughts passing through the minds of the protagonists. Now we are going to talk about the character. All the characters in the story are seen through Eveline's eyes. We have Eveline, who is the protagonist. Then we have Frank, Ernest, and Harry. Eveline is a 19-year-old girl, yet she is responsible for cooking for her father, who is really abusive and ungrateful. She also had to take care of two small children who had been left in her charge. We have Frank, who is a sailor, who has offered to take Eveline to Buenos Aires and to marry her. Well, Evelyn, in my opinion, is not in love with Frank. Frank represents the only chance for freedom in Evelyn's life, because Frank is only a way out for Evelyn. Then we have, in my opinion, three antagonists. They are her mother, her father, and in my opinion, the society is also an antagonist, because Evelyn is trapped by the tradition of the time period, because maybe in a less restrictive environment, her decision would have been easier to make. Also, her father is an antagonist because it is her drunken, abusive father that makes she feels trapped, mistreated, and unloved. I consider her mother as an antagonist because one of the reasons why Evelyn decided not to go away with Frank is the promise that she made to her mother. So, in terms of focalization, it is a limited and internal focalization because we see everything from Evelyn inside through her thoughts and feelings.